In this excursion, we want to have a closer look to advanced persistent threats, to so-called APTs. So it's not necessary to consider this, but if you are interested and if you are like to understand some of the press media news in more detail, perhaps it's interesting to understand what such APTs are, what they are corrected for. APT, Advanced Persistent Threat, is a targeted attack, for example, on a government, the military, industry, authorities or activities. And it's camouflaged and it's extremely sophisticated attack methods. So this is a difference to the attacks we discussed. The attacks we discussed, everyone in the hacker scene is able to design this, to perform this. But these APTs, they need very sophisticated people, they need to read the sources. So often the basis are the exploit of an unknown vulnerability. You remember this 0 days. The vulnerabilities typically, when they become known, then the companies, the software vendors immediately design and develop such updates. But if the vulnerability is unknown, then the vendor has no reason to develop such an update. So such 0 days are very, in the hacker world, are very, they like it, and very expensive. And for such APTs, often such unknown vulnerabilities are used. Backdoors in software are used. Sometimes not clear whether government insisted that a software provider design such backdoors inside its software. The characteristic of these APTs is that there is a great involvement also of social engineering methods. For example, the spear phishing, this was this very dedicated phishing attack to a person after a long period of spying out this person. Mostly such APT run over a longer period of time. They stay undetected and can in this way do their work. So they, for example, maintain a permanent access to the targets, to the victim systems. They slow and step down the approach to prevent detection. So they are very carefully hidden, so that the victim does not become aware that he or she is attacked. ATPs are usually motivated by extensive espionage of sensitive information. This can be in the field of economy, in the field of industrial, political espionage, or others. So an impairment of destruction of critical infrastructure, oil, gas, electricity, telecommunication. These are the goals of such APTs. And the profile of the attackers are that the attackers have access to extremely extensive and extremely expensive resources. Virtually, they can do all what they want. They have inexhaustible financial resources, and it's large teams of professional hackers that working, designing, and performing such an attack. So the guess is that behind such APTs, there is a governmental organization, or there is a large company, or there is military. So very big entities that perform such APTs. So APTs in this way go far beyond the attacks we discussed in our course. What are the patterns of attacks? So APTs are highly specialized attacks, and the main objective is attack must not be detected. Attack is so expensive and is attacking such an important thing that it must not be detected. It's characteristic that generally unknown or very rarely used attack tools are in place, and in some cases the attack tools are developed by the attackers, by the attacker teams. The APTs are characterized by injection of malicious code to the victim by means of very personalized social engineering attacks. For example, if something in military, so over months, a general is spied out, and all his information about his personal life, his professional life are collected. So then such phishing mails are designed so that this person believes it comes from a brother or from a mother or from a colleague or an authorized person. So the victims are scouted out over months. This is characteristic of APT. Characteristic is that malicious software uses exploit for unknown security vulnerabilities. This unknown vulnerabilities, the so-called 0 days, there is a black market, and there are huge prices one has to pay to get access to such a zero exploit, often connected with a guarantee that no one else can know this vulnerability or can buy this vulnerability. So APT attacks are almost impossible to detect. Generally accessible protection software, for example antivirus software or firewalls, do not yet recognize APTs and are therefore ineffective to protect systems against APTs. So APTs are a different class of attacks which is designed and which is run and performed by a very big entity. The exploited vulnerabilities remain generally unrecognized. So when I later on start to show you an example, we can see this in more detail. I want to give 2 examples. The first example is Stuxnet. I'm quite sure you have heard about Stuxnet. It's a malicious software which was discovered in 2010 on the computers of Iran uranium enrichment facilities. The Stuxnet exploited a number of unknown, up to that time, unknown security vulnerabilities. For example, it exploited 4 security vulnerabilities in Windows operating system. It exploited further vulnerability in the industrial control software SCADA. This SCADA was used for the uranium centrifuges to produce uran and the atom bomb. And what was possible by means of this Stuxnet malware was to cause that the uranium centrifuges become faster and faster and faster up to the moment they became destroyed. At that time, attacks on industrial control systems were only addressed as a legend in some research papers. Nobody was aware that also in this industrial control system it's possible to perform cyber attacks. Social engineering was used for the initial infection. Initial infection was caused by handover of an USB stick with concealed Stuxnet, and then the goal of the attack, the obvious goal of the attack was the disruption of the Iran nuclear uranium enrichment program. So the first version of the Stuxnet worm appeared in June 2009, but it was not yet recognized as Stuxnet at that time. Then it ran until July 2010, so more than 1 year, without being detected. To design such an attack, to design such an exploit, needs a huge amount of resources. So early assumption came in that there was a state infrastructures behind this attack. And according to Edward Snowden and his sayings, the US and Israel were behind the attack. A second example of an APT is APT-1. APT-1 is the name of an espionage division that has carried out APT attacks on at least 141 international companies. Secret documents, secret data, development data were stolen over years. And APT-1 was revealed in February 2013 by a security company, Mandiant, and the evidence suggests that the attack was underway since right a long time, since 2006. The attacker, to design such an attack, to perform such an attack, had very many resources at their disposal. The assumption a state was behind the attack because other parties do not have so much access to so much resources. So meanwhile, the attack probably originated in China. Special Espionage Division 61,398 of the People's Liberation Army were active and designed this. So these two examples show that APTs are very special attacks designed with the power of a state or with the power of a huge company of military. So it's a different class compared to the attacks we discussed before. As a private person, typically you are not a goal of such an APT attack.